I welcome you to another episode of Chronicles of a Nigerian Woman. I am your host, Fagbeja, and today I'll be reading Mayowa's story. There are so many bad marriage stories going around. In fact, I remember a mentor once saying to me that most Nigerian women have a story to tell about their marriages. I decided to share my story to let people know that there are good marriages out there, especially because I meet many young ladies these days who are skeptical, almost to the point of being afraid to get married. I was 21 and in my final year of studying business administration when I met Yomi. He was a postgraduate student finishing up his master's degree and he was turning 28. In fact, it was his birthday on the day I met him. It was a Wednesday evening. I can't forget. Some friends and I went out to buy ice cream, a group of about 6 of us. We were noisily enjoying ourselves at one side of the eatery we went to, and I noticed a guy sitting in a corner by himself, reading a novel and having some ice cream. Our eyes met and we smiled at each other for a second. About 15 minutes later, he walked over as he was leaving and tapped me on the shoulder. He asked to speak with me and I obliged. He introduced himself briefly and asked for my number, which I gave him. I was so conscious of my friends giggling at me that I didn't bother to ask for his number. It was almost a week later when he called me and we agreed to meet up at the same eatery over the weekend. And so we started off a friendship that blossomed into a relationship. Yomi was such a great person. He wasn't really quiet, even though he appeared so. What I loved most about him were his laser focus on achieving whatsoever he put his mind to, and his ability to read people with uncanny precision. He was so smart. I could listen to him talk for hours, and yet he never made me feel small. In fact, Yomi drove me to discover and connect with myself on a deeper level. Because of the admiration I had for him, I was emotionally vulnerable to him, and it was quite obvious. But he never took advantage of me. Rather, he always reiterated how I needed to develop independent thinking and make decisions on my own, not because of him. He had a phrase he always repeated: Mayowa, I want a partner, not a slave. He was ready to get married about a year after we met, but he delayed for another 3 years because he wanted me to make clear-headed decisions about the direction of my life personally before more responsibilities came in. I did not understand at the time, but now that we've been married for 15 years, I appreciate the value of what he did at that time. I decided to build a business making and selling beddings, even though I graduated with a second-class upper. It was solely my decision, and Yomi served as my sounding board and put me through the grueling task of putting together a vision document and business plan for it. My parents gave me my seed capital, and Yomi supported me and supervised me to ensure that I followed through on all the plans. Yomi helped me grow up. He made me see possibilities, and he always insisted that we both improve ourselves individually and as a couple on all fronts. We attended marriage seminars, went for retreats and all that together. I was an involved church member when we met, but more because of my upbringing than as a matter of faith. Yomi made me question things and get to the root of my decisions. With him, we didn't do things just because that was how they were done. We probed deeper and found meaning. My relationship with God developed depth and meaning because of him. And yet, he was never fanatical or bossy or boring. He is such a balanced and wise person. One other thing my marriage to Yomi gave me is a lovely family of in-laws. My mother-in-law raised 3 boys by herself since her husband died about 15 years before I met Yomi, who is her last born. She is such a lovely woman. You would think I was her biological daughter. My brothers-in-law are always so concerned about my welfare, and my relationship with my co-sister-in-laws is phenomenal. I really hope my story helps to restore some faith in marriage. I think the bad stories are louder because they are more spectacular, not necessarily because there aren't many good stories. I am a living testimony that marriage can be bliss. What are your thoughts about good and bad marriages within our society? Please share in the comments below. Remember to hit that subscribe button and to turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my videos.